So, today I'm going to explore the United Nations agenda. Many people don't understand what the true mission of the United Nations is, who the people who work in the United Nations are, and what their long term goals are. So, I thought today I'd just do a brief overview of who these people are and what their long term goals are. And as many of you may be surprised to learn, they're not at all what the average person believes them to be. So, the founders of the United Nations and most of the secretary generals have been and are Marxists. The United Nations Charter is based on the Communist Manifesto. As stated by the Vatican itself, the goal of the United Nations and the New World Order is to have one world government, one world leader, and one world religion. The following information is from the United Nations official documents. So, from its inception, the United Nations says it will start out as a political structure that eventually becomes a spiritual structure. So, this is pretty interesting. Most people believe that the United Nations was put in place to create harmony amongst different nations and to give small nations a voice against the bigger nations. But I don't think anyone ever really has been told that this political structure will eventually become a spiritual structure. And how we know this is not just from their writings, but the Pope himself has articulated this belief many times. And the Pope himself will be the head of this spiritual organization. And this organization will serve Lucifer, or the universal cosmic Christ. So this is really interesting. I don't think that many people understand that the Pope himself serves Lucifer, that the Vatican itself means divine serpent, that the Pope speaks in his amphitheater that's designed like the head of a snake from the mouth of the serpent. So the Pope will be the leader of this universal movement of the cosmic Christ. And just in case anyone doesn't understand, the English word universal reflects the word Catholic in Latin. So Catholic means universal. So here we are, many churches today have symbols and images on their signs that say they're the universal church. So this is what they're referring to. Not the universal church that worships Jesus Christ and the God of the Hebrews, but a church that serves Lucifer. And so we can tell this is true when they articulate their goals. And some of you may be really surprised about what the church and the United Nations has put forward as their primary goals. One of them is eradicating the male female distinction. I think we can see this in all of our movies, media, television, all this movement towards eradicating the male female distinction, saying men can be women and women can be men, they can choose their sex, they can choose this orientation. This, in fact, is the United Nations agenda spearheaded by the Pope. So this one doesn't sound so bad. They want to remove all nuclear weapons. Once you understand what their true goals are, you would understand why they don't want anyone with the ability to protect their own countries, therefore removing all the nuclear weapons so they can dominate each country without fear of repercussion. The other thing is they plan on creating a new world constitution. This constitution will not represent the individual rights of each country, yet it will be a mass form constitution that's supposed to serve everybody in the world, regardless of their individual needs, cultural norms, or ethnic backgrounds. And following this, as they create this new world constitution, they will be removing all world religions and merging them into one. So that means Protestants, Catholics, Muslims, Hindus, we will all merge into one religion, regardless if we worship the same gods, if we worship 3,000 gods, or if we worship one God. We will remove all religions, and this new universal cosmic Christ, Lucifer, will lead us in the world. We will also destroy all cultural mindsets. So this is interesting, and we can see this happening as our children are being taught in school to hate their country, to hate their culture, to embrace a oneness. So we are all the same, we all think the same, we all act the same, and that we're not somehow influenced by the cultural mindsets that we grew up in and that we were taught by our parents. Instead, our cultural mindset will be replaced by this new world order that will tell us what our cultural mindset is. And then, of course, as we see happening and has had a dismal failure here in the United States with children flunking out and leaving school unable to read, we will have the one world education. So these are the main goals of this group of people. And so it's very confusing to most people who believe the United Nations was put in place to make a peaceful, calm, and more inclusive world.